Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Designer Future podcast. Today I have a very special guest. Please, man, go ahead and introduce yourself for me.
Sweet, thanks, man. So my name is Manny, and I'm a co-founder of a company called Expert Freedom, which is essentially a consulting/coaching company helping experts. So, like, let's say you've got a specific knowledge that you can share and help others with. So we help those kind of people build the systems, the processes, the structures to kind of take their online business to 50K a month and beyond, depending on where they're at, obviously. Does that kind of explain things?
That's cool. So it's great because I have a lot of different agency owners on here, and it's amazing because of how broad that can really mean in terms of like what we just talked about before we got started, like niche and stuff like that. But just explain a little bit more who like your ideal client is, because obviously if someone has come across this video and they've typed in like how to start a marketing agency, etc., they've probably been exposed to like, oh yeah, you need to do it for like local businesses or like estate agents or something like that. Obviously what you're doing is a little bit different, so just break that down a little bit for me.
So if I get your question correctly, like who are kind of specific clients I work with, right?
Yeah, so like you're sort of saying that you do it predominantly for like entrepreneurs and like people that are selling digital products, right?
Yeah.
So that's a bit, for me personally, that I think that's like a big difference to someone that's like trying to run Facebook ads for hairdressers or something.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, absolutely. I mean, we really work with anyone who kind of works online, like a laptop lifestyle, right? So I mean, you could be an agency owner running Facebook ads or YouTube ads or whatever you might be doing, but it's like a digital service for local businesses, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't work directly with local businesses. I've never actually said that. We don't really work with local businesses. We work with kind of people who provide services online, or who provide online services to, it might be local businesses, for example, or it might be someone else online, if that makes sense.
Cool. So what does like your average client look like?
Sure. So good question. We've worked with quite a few range of people. I think the most interesting client, and like the one that was most straightforward and the one that was most successful, was showing people how to buy a business, instead of starting their own, right? So it's like this kind of new opportunity thing, which is really cool. It was really niche. I think he was like one of two major players in the market, so he could kind of had a monopoly on it almost. But then there's like really weird niches, like a dog trainer, for example, who had his own consulting services online. So he would have like clients who jump on Skype with him, for example, who would go through his videos on how to make their dogs more obedient, right? So if you've got a dog who's like really doing random stuff on like running away or barking way too much or like attacking, he would help you kind of make that dog more obedient and listen to you. So honestly, it ranges quite widely. Typically in our kind of messaging, we say we work with experts, coaches, consultants, and service providers, really.
Wicked, cool. So sorry, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you at the moment?
I am 21, yeah.
21, yeah, so cool. Like you're like, obviously I'm a bit older than you, so you're like a young guy. Obviously, how did you first get into this whole entrepreneurial status that you're currently in? Obviously, how did you sort of transition from, I don't know if you was at school, college, university? What does that sort of progression look like for you, obviously now being 21 years old?
Yeah, so glasses off on this one.
Serious shit.
Where do I begin? So I always wanted to be like, and this is my life story pretty much summed up in a couple of minutes. So I always wanted to be like a pilot, commercial pilot, because my family used to like be in aviation. But then I saw like a really nice Ferrari in Scotland when I was living there.
Pilots don't drive those.
It was just like, just standing by a red Ferrari. I'm like, I want that. And like, I decided there and then, like, that's the car I want. So for like, I went back home, tried to work out, okay, on a pilot salary, like how much do they make? Can I afford a Ferrari? It worked out like it would take me 20 years to pay off a Ferrari on like the average pilot salary. So I'm like, all right, well, that's just probably not going to work. Sure. So I don't remember how much time passed, but basically I ended up going to this car meet because by that point I was like really, really fanatic about supercars. So I went to like a car meetup, and then the people I started talking to were like doing some weird stuff. They were actually like drop shipping or running their own business of some sort. Like a couple of people were having like PLC companies, which are huge, and then some others were just doing online stuff. So I got talking to them. I'm like, all right, well, that's cool. So I want to be where they're at, and they're not pilots, they're running their own business. I'm like, all right, well, I can put my dream of having a piloting career on hold. I can just like buy my own plane if I'm successful with this eventually. But that was my thinking at the time. I was like 13 years old, so obviously it was a bit naive. But anyway, so I started looking into like different business stuff, and I found some business events in London to go to. So I started going to those, and then eventually I started to like volunteer and help people out. So that way is like how I got to know the speakers who are like these quite powerful business magnets in a way. They were doing some pretty cool stuff with marketing and business and property development and all that stuff. So about 2-3 years of doing that every other weekend, I got the kind of gist of how business works online, because a lot of the people who were going to those events were like business owners, and they were really good at what they do, except the actual marketing, sales, and business part. And I kind of started to pick that up quite well, trying stuff myself and working with others who were going to those events. Like, I think the first thing I did properly was property management, like renting out and subletting on Airbnb and like managing that kind of stuff. So anyway, that kind of fizzled out eventually. So I went into FX trading, so like Forex trading. I'm sure anyone watching this has probably heard of Forex trading. I wouldn't be surprised if I would be really surprised if no one's heard of Forex trading at this point. But anyway, I got into that, and then I ended up working at a brokerage actually in London for like a month before the whole thing died out. Because it's a pretty crazy, it's pretty crazy there. Like you see Wolf of Wall Street, right? Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah.
It's basically like that, without like without strippers and midgets. It's like that almost. But actually, what happened there was I met my current business partner, and because he was basically doing digital marketing for that brokerage, so I met him there, and then we hit it off like really well. I started helping him out with some projects after office hours, kind of learning the ins and outs as well. So when that project finished with the brokerage, I kind of called him up and just said, hey, like, do you need any help? He said, sure. So I started working for him for like a year, and then we just decided to go like partner up and do something cool together. And that's how Expert Freedom. That's where I am now.
Wicked. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's I said it now like from literally start to finish. Like I usually say, oh, I just to go to events, and like here I am. But it's an interesting story.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. You sort of like you sort of not took the traditional approach, but like you sort of went out, like networked, sort of see like there was a gap in the market for something, and then sort of got into it, rather than just sort of like looking for anything and everything and then sort of like pick something out randomly. You've sort of been there hands on and then sort of progressed into it. That's really cool. And I love the fact that you met like your business partner at like a previous job as well. I think that's pretty sick.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what you said about networking is absolutely true. I think it's, important to kind of go out there, and maybe even if you don't know it, you're looking for like a gap in the market. But just as important as that, it's really important to meet people who can actually pull you up. Because if you're young, like people really want to help you.
Yeah, it's true.
They really do want to help you. They give you free stuff. They give you like share wisdom, they charge, or like we don't even charge for it, we don't give away. And you learn that stuff really quickly. And even if you are like older, a lot of people went there and did really successfully because of the stuff they learned, whether that was like property, like buying properties or starting your own business. You learn a lot and pick those things up quite quickly if you hang around with those people.
Nice. Yeah. So ultimately, guys, like if you're listening to this and you're sort of stuck in a bad situation, what we're basically saying is if you surround yourself with people that inspire and motivate you, then you're naturally going to start picking up the traits that they have themselves. So no, that's really great, man. And the fact that you've sort of gone out your way at a young age to actually go to these networking events, rather than like just what people sometimes do with like YouTube videos and stuff like that, because I think that sort of does count as well in a sense, because if you're a young person and you're going out of your way to do that type of research. And, you know, on YouTube channels and stuff, people can get close. Like I would personally even say, not even mentors that I've invested into as in like one-on-one coaching, but YouTube creators that I've invested time of mine, like literally watching every single video of theirs. Obviously there's a bit of like a balance you need to think, because obviously just watching YouTube videos is never going to get you anywhere. But yeah, I also think, you know, there does take that initiative to be researching that sort of stuff all the time. Wicked. So the next question I want to ask you is, what would one book be you would recommend to someone that's literally typed in how to make money online and they want your favorite book?
How to make money online. All right. So good question. That's a really good question. I would either say, like, if you were trying to get into that entrepreneurship mindset, probably best book to read is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because that's like the first proper like wealth generation, doing your own thing book that I read. Sure. But like, if you want tactical stuff, right? So whenever you're starting a business, the best thing to do is actually go and sell, right? You can create your product all day long, but if no one wants it, you just wasted time. So sell first, create later is the kind of saying I do. So there's a really good book on actually selling and how to sell, like, you know, high ticket products and services. It's called Spin Selling by Neil Rackham. So it's like a whole different approach of selling, which is like, I mean, I'm not even going to get into it that much, but it's like the spin method, right? So you basically find out their situation, and then you go on and to ask different questions, and you find out their implicit needs and explicit needs, and then like their problems, and then their like basically all these different kind of things you want to find out when having a conversation with someone in order to be selling. So if anyone's watching this and you're like trying to get good at selling right now, I would definitely recommend you to read that. But if you don't even know what you're wanting to start, yeah, I mean, no book can really tell you what you should start or what kind of business you can start. But reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad will definitely put the right mindset in your mind.
Definitely, yeah. And I think, yeah, when it comes down to, I love to always ask this question, by the way, as well. So yeah, you have obviously never watched any of them before. Because some people, like, I know some very successful people that are like, I don't read. And then there's some people that are like, yeah, like, it's in my habits. I need to read at least 30 minutes a day. Otherwise I don't feel like it. So I love to ask that question.
Yeah, I completely agree what you just said. I mean, I read for at least an hour a day, or do some kind of learning, whether that's like watching some kind of course that I've got, or reading a book, an ebook or an audio book. I think learning, if you stop learning, like, you just stop developing. And if you stop developing, like, you're going backwards.
Exactly, yeah. And that's the thing as well. Like, I always say back to like school and stuff like that. Like, I've probably learned, I have learned more in you know, like past education than I did like within the school system, for sure. And I think that is just taking the initiative, like you said, to be continuously learning every single day. And the thing is as well, guys, like once you start making money from all of this sort of stuff as well, like, you will be inclined to reinvest that back into it, because like what we were still talking about at the start, about how he's gone from these networking events to, you know, almost like mirroring these people's success. Like, you are essentially having to invest into other people because you want their blueprint of what they've done. So it does just go around like surrounding yourself with the right people. So with that being said, do you use ClickFunnels? Great question for you.
Yeah, no, I do. All of the stuff we built from our like front-end marketing to like delivering stuff to clients is all mostly through 99% through ClickFunnels. Yeah.
Wicked. Cool. The next question is a bit of a different one. If I was to take away 3 apps from you tomorrow, what would they be that would make you struggle like bad? So if you had to name 3 apps I took away from you, you would be struggling moving forward. I'm always looking for a way to word that question better.
It's an insanely good question, let me tell you that. So probably Facebook.
Cool. Yeah.
ClickFunnels and Stripe.
Okay, wicked. Cool. Nice. All
Let me tell you why.
Very much needed. Cool. So the next question I want to ask you is, do you use cold emails, whether that's within your personal brand or the agency itself?
So I don't use cold emails per se. I think I tried like back in 2017. I never really got, I'm sure it's effective, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I just never really found a place for it in my own process and my own business. Because what I do now is like basically just going on Facebook, because a lot of the groups I'm in have potential clients. So interacting with people in there. And when I say interacting, I'm not talking like spamming, like sending links. I mean, just generally having a conversation with people, commenting on their stuff. You know, they like your stuff. You give them like posts and stuff, and invite them to your group. And that kind of creates that, you know, your little audience. They see you as someone who can actually potentially help them. And then you basically have a conversation with them on there. They go through your funnel if they need you to. They jump on a call with you and they buy.
And sorry, just before you continue, just for the guys that are watching and listening to this, that's literally how we met, like in a Facebook group of like-minded individuals. So that's why, like, it is so powerful. I've met clients in Facebook groups. I've met, you know, just like new friends basically as well, you know, podcast guests, because these are going to be specific groups that people are going for answers to the questions they've got within that niche topic. So yeah, definitely that's a really good point for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, one of the biggest reasons we have our own Facebook group, Tribe of Experts, I think it's like quite a few members now, 1,400. And I'm not sure if you're in it, Olley, but anyway, we do it for the first reason we talked about earlier, which is like networking, right? So people go in there and network, find out what others are doing, find out what's working, what's not working. But also like that, to meet like-minded individuals. Even if they don't become clients who pay you, they become potential affiliates, partners. Maybe they even show you something, right?
Exactly.
So
no, definitely. And there's been times where, like, not that you, well, I don't personally, but like sometimes you join like these groups, like, yeah, there'll be some potential clients in there, and all of a sudden, like, you're like being sold to, and you're like, yeah, it's a good product, so I'm going to buy it. So it does sort of go back in both ways. Have you got any social media tips for a newbie? So let's say, like we mentioned before, I always like to start at this point. Someone's typed in how to make money online. This is the first video they've seen. They've seen what me and you are both about. You know, they know we run social media agencies. What would be like your first tip for this person? Forget Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What would be your first tip for them to take today to start getting some results, or at least notice some traction?
Good question. So first thing, it depends on the situation. It's like circumstantial. If you've obviously got a business going and you know what people want, then you would do something different than if you didn't, right? So, but if you, let's say you just got fired or you just quit your job and then went on Google right after you got home with your stuff and you typed in how to make money online. The first thing I would recommend doing is finding out what people actually want. So what do people want in the market? Maybe even across different markets. And how can you help them achieve that, right? Because like obviously people have different expertise. Someone might be good at Facebook ads, someone might be good at fitness, someone might be good at saving relationships, right? They're all different markets, widely different markets. Mm-hmm. So you can't really help someone who wants to lose weight with Facebook ads, right? It doesn't connect. So you got to find your market. Like, what do people want? Okay, so you want more clients in their business, right? So okay, well I'm actually really good at Facebook ads. What do they want more specific to Facebook ads? Do they even know what Facebook ads are? Do they have you tried Facebook ads already? What problems did they have? And okay, so they had these problems. I can solve these problems for them. Now I can speak to this person directly to them, and I can resonate with them. I can show them that, you know, you got this problem. I'm here to help you. Let's jump on a call, and then they become a client.
Go from there. Cool. Wicked. So the last question that I sort of like to ask is about teams and outsourcing. So a little bit different for yourself, obviously, because you have like a business partner, but just talk to me a little bit about, you know, your teams and how you've sort of developed and grown that over the years as well.
Yeah, no, we've had a team. I think the maximum people we had was about 9. And that was about last year or so. So we had a couple of big clients we were actually doing a lot of done for you stuff for, which we moved away from over last year. Mm-hmm. So I know this is probably applicable for those of you watching who are like doing agencies or a lot of done for you work, which is fun. It's really good. So teams, what you want to look at is like, okay, it's interesting. Where do you start looking for teams? So you want to look at, okay, what's taking a lot of my time right now?
Definitely.
Right? Because you don't want to hire for something that like needs to be done once a month. You can just do it yourself. And you don't need to hire someone. You don't have to waste time and spend money to do that. But let's say there's like a task that's taking you, 2 hours every single day, like say data entry for like a client, or it could be Facebook ads, for example, if you want to outsource that, right? So let's say that stuff is taking way too much of your time that you could be spending growing something else or doing something more high value. So you would identify that task or set of tasks, for example, and then write them down, right? This is what I want someone to do. And then you would go about finding those people. Now, obviously, you don't have to like hire your best friend or hire your family member. Usually that doesn't work out. It's quite easy to hire online. There's places like Fiverr, preferably Upwork though, because that's like more contracts and more like ongoing work.
Yeah.
Work. Have you got any specific questions about this? Because I can talk for ages.
No. So what I'd like to know really is how does it operate with the team? So because a big thing that I get with like coaching students and even businesses, to be honest, that I speak to, and for me it's apparent that if I speak to a potential business and they don't necessarily need my service, but I think that they could definitely benefit from having like a VA, for example, because it's not something that I would personally do for them, but it's just look, like you're spending way too much time doing this. I'd definitely recommend hiring a VA. But a lot of people, even like business owners, they're like, what's a VA? They know what a PA is, right? But when you think of a VA, they're just like, right, so, but how does that work? How does that work? I'm like, well, it's the same as having a PA, but it's virtual. Like you just got to give them the task online. So for someone that sort of hears that and they're like, what, like, how am I supposed to, how's the job supposed to get done? How does that sort of work in terms of processes, systems, what applications are you using to delegate those certain tasks?
Yeah, good question. So actually we go over some of the softwares and how to use it in our like Facebook group. But generally, like with two softwares we used, there's three principles, but the two of them are software. So the first software was Slack, which is like communication for teams. And then the second one was Trello, which is like project management for teams. And honestly, we've tried so many over the last 4 years that we figured out like what works best. We went to Trello, went to try Asana and like Basecamp, and then went back to Trello again. And it's like all that stuff. Because some of them like don't do the stuff. They look great on the onset, like 3 months down the line when you're using it, you realize like this isn't doing what I needed to be doing. So anyway, Slack and Trello are kind of the best for us. Now, communication on Slack, right? So you basically talk with your VA, for example, on Slack, or your team. You've got channels like groups, for example. You might have like a marketing department and then like a graphics designing department or what have you. You can speak there, just like kind of get updates on projects. But then Trello is like, let's say you've got a project for a client, you put that project, you chunk it down as like cards on Trello, and then like each one is a different project with different people assigned to it. Like you get comments, you can attach things to it. It's great. And then you can obviously move it depending on where its progress is. But the third principle is more of like not tangible, but it's the idea of using systems, right? So if you've got a system of doing something, let's say, you would get a VA or a virtual assistant to input some data for you that you've been doing for the last 3 months.
Sure.
But now you want it to be automated, right? So you won't just have them input the data, you'll have a system for it, right? So input this there, get it from here, use like this source to get the data from, and then put it in here like every day at 9 a.m. So that's a system. That's like you've got step-by-step instructions for your VA, and they follow that, right? If they're competent, they'll follow it without trouble.
Wicked. So I just want to jump on and just add something because you've mentioned Trello and Slack. So that's some great advice as well, by the way. But that's also one thing I wanted to say is I use Slack and Trello as well. Absolute key. So definitely well done.
Nice.
Done. Top three. Slack and Trello, I use them for my VA, and also what he was saying about basically stacking those things up, right? Because there's a simple task that I get my VA to do every single day, and that's applying for Upwork jobs. Because like what you said before, it's not data entry. Well, it is data entry in a sense, because it's like
lead generation. Yeah,
it's like lead generation, but it's very basic. You know, I have templates of how I apply for certain jobs, and basically all I've done, guys, for anyone that's listening, because it took a lot out of my head for the first, I don't know, year or something of me using Upwork, that I didn't think, oh, you know what, I could get someone else to do that. But all I basically done is I recorded my screen and I applied for the Upwork jobs. Right? And then I just stopped the screen recording. I think it was about 30 to 40 minutes. And as I'm doing it, I'm literally speaking to all of the potential virtual assistants I'm going to hire in the next couple of years, because that process is going to be the exact same for 5-10 years to come. And all I'm doing is, I'm not saying, hi, Mantas, like, this is what you need to do. Say like, hi, this is my new virtual assistant training. This is what you need to do. This is how we do it. And then I literally do it. I show them that they can see everything. And now why that's so powerful is when we stop that, I've got that video there forever. So I've got my current VA. If in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, he says, look, Olley, I can't do this anymore. Okay, no problem. I can go find someone, send them straight to that video, and you've almost got that system up and running again. So yeah, I love that you sort of mentioned about that training sort of aspect of it as well.
Yeah, going through the system is like, the system is going to stay the same unless, one, the software changes that you're using, like say Upwork, like did a complete revamp of the website, or two, you come up with a better system and like update it, right? But either one of those doesn't happen like every day. It happens like every couple of months, maybe even years. So it's better than having to tell each new VA what to do or set up messages. Just have one video, send it.
Yeah, and it's not that as well. It's also like once you either automate or put a system in somewhere, then it's going to be so much easier for you to scale your business or put systems and processes in other places. And ultimately, all you want to do is you want to have the systems working for you, right? So you haven't necessarily got to do much. So even using like my VA, for example, to do the Upwork jobs, I know for a fact that if I continuously do that Upwork work, as in doing the lead generation side of things, then I can literally wake up to meetings booked into my diary in the morning when I wake up. But that's a system that you've put in place over time. Wicked, man. That's sick. So where are you sort of hoping everything is going to go by the end of this year? Because I'd love to have you on sort of the end of the year and basically check those things off.
Accountability. So yeah, that's a good question. So we've got like quarterly goals. We tried yearly goals last year. We kind of sucked. So we just did quarterly this year. It's easy to kind of chunk down. But yeah, we're basically hoping to get like our Facebook group to 10,000 members, which is like a big milestone for us, not just because like it represents how many clients we get or how many, whatever. It's just like, we know we've built like a massive community that we can just, we have like, that can help, that we bring value to,
Yeah.
It's quite nice knowing that. The number of clients we want to help, I think it lies around over 100. So we want to help 100 clients this year. Like we haven't done that many clients in a year before. So this is like a big milestone for us as well. And what's the other goal? Well, my other goal is to do a bit more traveling, but I don't think that's going to happen this year, is it?
No, you traveled around your front right this way.
Yeah, just about.
That's
bathroom.
I literally got back from, I was traveling for like 3 months, and we literally got back.
Oh, awesome.
We got back like probably a week before everything like started proper like lockdown and stuff. So I'm so grateful I'm home.
Yeah. Where did you go to? 3 months. That's a long time.
Yeah. So we went to Australia for a month. We went to Bali for just over a month. And then I was in Thailand for about 3 weeks. And we told everyone that we was in Thailand for a month, and we come back 2 weeks earlier. So like, yeah, it must have just happened like subconsciously that we didn't end up getting stuck in Thailand, put it that way.
I mean, not a bad place to be stuck though.
No,
sounds amazing.
No, it weren't too bad. Excuse me. Right. So let's get to the last little hurdle of the the show, if you like.
Let's do it. Looking forward to it. What is it?
What I want to know is the weirdest client you've ever had, because we've probably dropped off all of the people. You know, we're about 40 minutes in now, so all of the people that are stuck around for this long, let's give them some juicy stuff.
Okay, weirdest client.
Yeah, you've definitely had some weird clients come through.
What do you mean weird?
How weird?
Yeah. How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go?
Nah, seriously, anything. Literally, it's always great to know. I come from a personal training background as well, so I've had some pretty weird clients before I started the agency. So this is always a funny one for me.
Yeah. So I think the shortest lived. It was the weirdest client. Is probably the shortest lived client I've had.
Okay.
Gosh, I can't even remember what he was trying to do. I won't obviously say his name and stuff, but like he was helping, like, which I mean, it's weird, but it's good at the same time. Like I understand how it can be valuable to people, but he was helping like people over 60 to start their own like kind of online business gig.
Okay.
Which is really niche, but I gotta say, like, I've never seen that before, and I think that's why it's like kind of so weird. And the stuff he was getting his clients to do was like content creation and like all these things that you see millennials doing, but he was getting like people over 60 to do that as well. Which is, again, like I said, it's this good thing, but it's weird because like you're kind of so used to.
It's an OAP agency. That's a good little.
Yeah. It is, and it's a good niche. It was it's quite weird, like the way he was trying to do it with like loads of different webinars. He was thinking of making like dozens and dozens of webinars for some reason. So yeah, it's just kind of quite a strange project, really.
Okay, cool. And have you ever had any like weird messages from clients, whether that's like once they're actually clients or potential clients, people like reaching out to you? Well, I know obviously if your main thing is Facebook, you're going to have some weird messages come through.
No, yeah, clients. There was this one woman actually. I'll give you two. Yeah. There was this woman recently who's like messaging me with voice notes about like how awesome she is and how great she is. I'm like, all right, well, good for you. And then she's like, oh, my dad's like really wealthy. He's like made $1 billion. Like, okay, so like, what are you trying to say here? So I stopped replying, and she just started like spamming my posts on Facebook, like, get back to me, go back to your messenger. I'm like, no. I haven't blocked her yet, but I don't know. The other one was like, so we were working with this client in 2017, years ago, and we got pretty good results for him. He was like, I think it was like 3,000 ROI on the launch, not 3,000, like 300 ROI, which is a lot, it's like 30 times for $1. So anyway, we did like a launch for him, and he made money, and then he stopped working with us because like he wanted to do something else. Mm-hmm. And like we use his testimonial now in our website, as you would. And like, I think it was a couple of months ago, he messaged us saying like, remove these testimonials immediately. I'm suing you because you scammed me. And like, you didn't do what you said you were going to do.
But he left you a testimonial before.
Yeah.
What?
It's weird. I don't know. I mean, there's always people like that who, that stuff, that anger doesn't come from you because it was like 3 years ago. Something must have happened in between. You just took it out on us. Anyway, none of that like legal threats took place, and hopefully they won't for whatever reason. But yeah, it's just like, you got to anticipate that stuff if you're in business. Like, people just do some weird stuff sometimes, and like all you can do is just kind of try and understand where we're coming from, even if we're completely wrong. Like, it's not going to blow out of proportion. It's not really going to harm you. Just let them do their thing.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I just pull at your strings a little bit. Do you know like the first thing that you ever made money like online from?
Yeah. Online?
Yeah.
Online would have been...
Not necessarily the agency, but like just online at all.
Selling bracelets, yeah. I was like really going into e-commerce at one point, like having Stingray, Stingray leather and Python leather bracelets. absolute nightmare for vegans. Don't get me wrong. But it was like really cool bracelets made out of stingray and python leather, which looked awesome. I loved them. I wore them everywhere. So I thought, why not sell them online? Put them up on Shopify. Got a couple of £100 worth of orders over like a couple of months, but I never really took it too seriously. But yeah, that's the first thing I made money on.
Wicked.
Stuff online.
Wicked, man. Well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. To get to know you a little bit more. And yeah, like I said, I'd love to have you on sort of like the end of the year, and hopefully we can check those goals off as like a community together.
Let's do it.
Wicked, man. Well, thanks again, and guys, for watching and listening. I will see you in the next episode. Take care, guys. Bye bye.